Well, good morning again, and broadcasting from the Hart Hotel, right bang smack in the middle of Lewes, a famous hotel. Outside is a plaque which suggests that it is the heart of the American War of Independence, because those very rafters covered Tom Paine when he was writing about the rights of man and how the colonies should actually break away, and they did. So we have in this hotel all sorts of interesting people that come through. And the whole idea is that we actually talk to people who come in. And we just found two lovely people who are from the Netherlands. And I'm going to find out what they're doing here, what they want to do. And the reason that they find themselves in Lewes. I know the reason they found themselves on television, because I was lurking and I jumped. Not them in here, right? And so we got William and Miriam, right? And welcome to Mirador Television, and welcome to the Hart Hotel, and welcome to Lewes.
Thank you.
Mirador, by the way, is we have a barbican here that you may have seen in the castle, and everybody names the business after the barbican, and we said we don't want that. So I found the word that Mirador means a little barbican. And since we're little, it's appropriate. Right, okay. What are you doing in Lewes? How have you found your way to Lewes?
Well, we came by train from yesterday by train from Amsterdam with the Eurostar.
All right.
And we booked 3 years ago. We booked the tickets already, but finally we got now. All the restrictions are gone, so we travel again. We like to go to England, and we didn't know where to go.
So you chose Lewes?
Yes.
We just picked a place. Well, we were looking for an area where we could take a walk, hiking to the countryside.
Right.
And we saw the South Downs, and we saw Lewes, and we said, well, that's a good place, because we can also visit Brighton.
Yes, and Eastbourne.
Eastbourne.
Yeah.
Without having the extortionate prices of Brighton and Eastbourne.
Yes. Now, just one or two things that I might just mention to you is, since you like walking, is Lewes is full of history, absolutely jam-packed full of history. And one thing that a lot of people don't get to is the Priory. Have you been to the Priory?
No, we just arrived yesterday evening.
Well, over on that side, it's not difficult to find. They are ruins, but after the conquest of 1066, the gentleman, if we put it that way, who was given Lewes by William the Conqueror, his wife was very religious, and she decided she wanted to build a priory, and she did, and it was huge, absolutely huge, and it dominated the town for 200, 300 years. And then that vandal Henry VIII came and pulled it down with the dissolution of the monasteries. So there's only the sort of inner walls left. Yeah. But nonetheless, for something that's 1,000 years old, it's quite astonishing. So, and it's a nice walk down there. So I would recommend that to you. Oh, and you can go by on the way Anne of Cleves' house. And Anne of Cleves was it was Henry VIII's wife who survived.
The only one who survived.
Yeah. But Thomas Cromwell, who pulled down the priory, nasty piece of work he was, he actually had his head cut off because he chose Anne of Cleves. And she was so plain, is Henry VIII said, I can't go to bed with her. But she got this house as part of the divorce settlement. But he got his comeuppance because he was eventually beheaded. And the axeman was so drunk, it took him 3 times to chop his head off. What a horrible way to die. I'm making your morning, aren't I?
Yes. Some history you've got. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's very good to see you here. And tell us a little bit about what you do in the Netherlands.
Well, I work as a journalist.
Oh, well done. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
I work with a local newspaper.
Right.
In the center of Holland, in a town called Utrecht.
Right.
And I'm a writer and I'm an editor, and I do online work. Yeah.
Well, now we want to stay in touch with you. Will you make sure Max? Will you make sure we get details of William And I'll tell you why. Because Harvard University did a great big survey in the States, but they also did one here. And as local and small scale journalism shrinks, so local councils take on more power, but get worse, and the local taxes go up. So we're very keen on making sure that there is local journalism. And as I said to you, we say we're local, but not parochial. So we'd love to have you to be able to call you from time to time and put you on the telly and say what's going on in the Netherlands and you're right. Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll think about it.
You've thought you'll do it.
What are the big stories going on in the Netherlands right now? Is there anything major? Farmers.
Well, there are many things major, but the major one is the farmers. They have to cut down their stock, and they don't want that, so they keep demonstrating and making a mess of traffic and
blocking all the highways.
Blocking the highways.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Why do they have to cut down on their stock? You know?
Yeah, it's for environmental reasons. Too much. I don't know the word in English.
Yeah.
CO2. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you saw this, but New Zealand recently put on farmers a burp tax for animals.
Okay.
For sheep and cows. So every time a sheep and cow burps, the farmers get fined. So it's not based on average, how often is it burp, and then they charge them for it because of climate change.
They have people checking.
It's based on the average.
Okay.
And then how many cows and sheep they have.
There was somebody somewhere who had the job of finding out the average burp rate of a sheep.
What a boring job.
It is, yeah.
Now, I must confess I've been to Amsterdam about a dozen times, but I've never really got out into the interior of the Netherlands. I wonder if you could just describe a little bit to us what it's like. You know, tulips from Amsterdam and lots of canals and so on. But what is the country generally like? I mean, bearing in mind, you're in Lewis, right? Most people think in terms of the UK as London. Or so but here is a little town that is quite different to anything else. So what's it like in the interior?
Well, if you've been to Amsterdam, you haven't really been to Holland.
No, right.
Especially center of the town. It's not very nice, we think. And the town where we live, Utrecht, we think that's the most beautiful town of Holland.
Yes.
Also with beautiful canals, beautiful medieval city, inner city. It's not really big, but it's a good sized town.
University city,
university.
museum.
It's great. And the country around it, it's flat. Holland is flat.
And dikes and rivers.
Yes. I remember the very first time I was coming back from Canada, and this would have been 1960, and I landed at Schiphol, and there were these huge crowds, and I thought there must be somebody famous on the plane, but in fact it was people who had cycled out to the airport to watch the planes coming in because it was a new thing, but it was the cyclists. And you still have a huge amount of cyclists, don't you?
Yeah, we have more bikes than people.
Oh, really?
Most people have 2 or 3 bikes.
Yeah. So do you cycle a lot?
Yes.
Okay. On an average day, when you're not at work, you're not at your newspaper.
I cycle to my work.
Do you?
Yes.
Right. And what do you do?
Oh, I'm a nurse for mental handicapped people.
Lovely. I thought he looked well looked after.
Mental handicap.
I'm not mental handicapped. At least I think I'm not.
But on a weekend, if you decide to go out and cycle, where would you cycle to, and what would you do?
Well, in the neighborhood of where we live, it's very beautiful. We have a big river. We have the woods, forests. So you can cycle there. And cycle for about 30 kilometers, maybe sometimes 40.
We have also very nice special cycle roads.
Right,
Only for,
yeah, yeah.
bicycles and other scooters or whatever. So you're not hitting by chance by a car or something. So
Yes.
many places where you can cycle.
Yes. So what would you go out to see? Why would you cycle and where would you go to?
Countryside.
Just to look at the countryside.
Yeah, and maybe
Forest.
stop in a small town and have a coffee or something. Sometimes we put the bikes on the car and drive to another part of the country and cycle there.
Yeah.
In Holland you have a bicycle network with numbers. So and there's a map on the roads, and then you can see which number you are, and you can decide. Well, I have to go to number 82, and then I want to number 50. So you can make a round just with. So you don't have to watch on your own.
You don't need a map.
Yeah, no, you can just cycle with
Oh,
the numbers.
yeah. That's brilliant, isn't it?
Cycling here is particularly horrible because it's just up and down hills all constantly. It's horrible.
Yes. Yes. Well, they chose to come to Lewis because it's so hilly, so they can see the challenge of cycling here.
We'll walk here.
We both, yeah.
When did you come?
Yesterday.
Right. And when are you? How long are you staying?
Friday we go.
Well, Thursday we're going back to London.
Oh, right.
Friday we
Okay.
train back.
Yeah. But you're staying here in between time.
Yes.
And you're staying in this hotel?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's very ancient, as you know.
It is.
It is. The owners we know very well, and they're very nice people. But we say, something like this should have a ghost. They say, well, yes, we have, but we don't tell people because it frightens them from coming to stay in the hotel. But if you hear a bump in the middle of the night,
I heard a bump.
did you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it depends on how brave you are whether you rush out to actually meet it.
We have a very special room, so there must be a ghost.
Must be a ghost, yeah.
Are you familiar with the history of this hotel?
Well, we saw what you mentioned. We saw the plaque on the front. That's about it.
Do you know anything about who Thomas Paine was? What he did?
I read it there. I didn't know him. No.
Well, he helped found America, and apparently, I believe he named America. Is that right?
Well, according to the historian Bill Bryson, he is the man that coined the name of the United States.
Okay.
But we mentioned actually in the earlier part of our program that he also coined the phrase, there should be a House of Commons. And what do we call our parliament?
Yes.
House of Commons. So he was an exceptional man. He wasn't a very nice man. In fact, he was a drunk, but he got a tremendous mind. And not only was he developed this theory about democracy and so on, but he also was a soldier. He fought in some of the Indian wars in what was then colonial America. It was an inventor. He invented the single span bridge, and one of those huge minds. But he couldn't shut up. So as a consequence, he found himself in France at the time of the French Revolution and got locked up. And only because of a mistake with them putting a chalk on the door did he not have his head cut off.
Oh, okay.
But here he was charged with treason by the state. If he'd have been found guilty, he would have been hung, drawn, and quartered, which is a particularly nasty way to die.
Yeah.
And his friends persuaded him to go back to the United States and be a bit safe. So that's where he ended up. But no, he was quite an incredible character. And it is said that across the road now, it's not a hotel anymore. It was the Crown Hotel. And he used to go in there, and eventually the man who owned it said, don't want you in here anymore because you keep on talking about your theories about democracy and so on, and you're boring all my people. So they threw him out and wouldn't let him drink there. So he came over here and made it famous. So there are a few things for you to actually take a look at if you wander around. You're here for the week. Lewis is interesting. Where else in this area are you going? Are you going to cycle?
No,
No,
You're not.
no.
It is a bit hilly around here.
We didn't bring our cycles. We'll go to Brighton, I guess, tomorrow, maybe. See
Okay.
the town.
Yeah.
Well, then Thursday we'll go back to London. So
Yes. Well, where are you off to today?
I think wander around the city and the countryside.
Mhm.
Castle.
There is some very nice. Just if you go down this road here and keep on going, you'll come to something called Chapel Hill, and that will take you up onto the Downs.
Yeah.
And there is fantastic views from up there. I can't do it anymore, unfortunately. I suffer from Parkinson's, so I can't walk quite as well as I used to. But once you're up there, you can actually get to a spot where you cannot see any human habitation. You can't see any of the little villages or springs or whatever. And it's just a wonderful feeling of isolation and so on. I used to do it in the winter, and a mist would come down, and suddenly you'd hear bar, and a sheep would come hurtling out of the mist.
I thought it was the ghost.
Just about that.
Following you.
So you're going into Brighton, which I think you'll find is a complete and utter contrast to here.
I think so too, yeah.
I need my fix of Brighton once every sort of 6 or 7 weeks. But other than that, I'm not at all fond of the place. It's a very sort of, to me, a tacky seaside place. Eastbourne, on the other hand, is very laid back and very.
Brighton is a very interesting place. I'll say I go there multiple times a week for college.
Yeah.
I go to Brighton to get to Lewis now. It's the people there are definitely interesting. I'll say that.
In Eastbourne.
No, in Brighton.
Oh, Brighton.
Yeah, I'm sending you to the dull place. She's sending you to the exciting place.
I don't want to be rude about them, but they're a bit strange sometimes. You see a lot of wacky people in Brighton, but it's funny. It's nice.
Are the trains on strike at the moment?
No.
It's just a very short train ride away is Seaford, and that's a very, very pretty little. And that's where some of the white cliffs of Dover are. And it's just a small little settlement, but it's lovely, really pleasant. Seaford, yeah.
Seafood.
And it's about 15 minutes on the train.
From Brighton.
From here. Yeah, you can get from here. Lewis actually is a centre. You can get anywhere from here. You can get to London, you can get to Brighton, you can get Seaford, Newhaven. Through Newhaven, you can get to France. There's a ferry down there as well. So we are the centre of the universe.
Oh,
yes. That's what we think in Utrecht.
Yeah, we are the centre from Holland.
So
we are the centre.
So we are the centre of the universe.
Yeah.
Is Holland quite a safe country? Is where you live quite nice and safe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, most of the country is quite nice and safe.
Yeah, we're getting a bit violent again. I mean, we're not too bad here, but London is getting a bit.
London's getting a little bit too scary.
Yeah.
I don't particularly want to go back there anytime soon.
What's happening there?
What's happening?
London is seeing a higher knife crime rate than New York City. That it's just every day. It's just more and more and more crime. That's why I'm so glad and so lucky to have grown up in the countryside and not near a big city. I live in a small village of about 3,000 people, not too far from here. It's very small, very nice, everyone in the village. It's a nice community. I couldn't imagine having grown up in a big city.
And why is crime rising in London? What's the?
I think there's a combination of we've got a very controversial chief constable. It's a lady, and she sort of lost control of the of what the police were doing.
I think she's stepping down.
Yes, she is. I think she's been forced to.
Yeah.
But also, it's London is a polyglot of all sorts of. You probably heard that we have immigration issues here. People get very excited about it, and what happens is that they tend to live in little pods, and and that pod doesn't like that pod.
Yeah.
So the way it goes. But Brighton, you'll be 90% safe. I mean, there's no problem there unless you really wandered off the beaten track.
Well, Brighton used to be very, very safe. But recently they've had a big homeless problem because all the homeless people from up north think, oh, Brighton, the south, it's warm, let's go there. So from all around the entire country, homeless people are getting by bus or train or hitchhiking. They're all going to Brighton because they think it's warm. It's not really. Unfortunately, they do freeze to death in the winter. But homelessness really has ramped up.
There are a lot of homeless people.
Yes, as Max says, that they're
in the last 2 years,
they're attracted there.
Yeah. They think it's warm there. It's really not, because you get the breeze from the sea.
Yeah.
They think it's warm, and then they just freeze to death. It's quite bad. And during the winter, summer it's fine.
Where else would we recommend that you go? Well, in fact, I mean, Eastbourne is
very,
very nice.
I'm sorry.
Well, we
And if you had a bit more time, about an hour on the train, is the Hastings, which is got a very nice old town, and it is a bit of a seaside resort, but it's quite nice. Please chat, because I'm actually going to see whether I can bring but I don't want you to go. I'm enjoying you very much.
So what was it that made you pick Lewis? Did you just come across it on Google?
We were on Google. We were at home, like here on the table, and we said, "Well, we're London. No, we don't like to go to London, but we like to go where we can do some hikes and just outside London, not too far away." So we came here.
Well, I saw the area, the South Downs, where you can take walks, and I checked which place would be the best to do that from. And it turned out to be Lewis. So that's why we picked this beautiful town.
You've never been to Holland?
No, I've never even left the country. I've never been to Scotland or Wales.
Oh, really?
Wow. Why not?
I've never really been able to afford to. I grew up in a single parent household.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping to sort of go abroad soon once I can get a passport.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I would go first. I'm thinking somewhere like Monaco is very nice, and Northern California.
Monaco, really?
Monaco, because I like cars. So that
Max
Dubai,
You like from
that Dubai and Monterey in California.
Oh yeah, we've been there.
Because of the cars.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, interesting. Yeah.
So you were following the
Formula One.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I hate the commentary. I would love to go watch Formula One in person.
Yeah.
I would like to go watch a football game in person, but I just can't stand the commentary. And the commenters in their little box are just really annoying. I can't stand it. I'm
You can turn the sound off.
Yeah, but then you can't hear the cars.
No.
But then they're talking over the cars.
Yeah.
That's what I'd love to go see in person, definitely. Who is it we're bringing on?
Fergus Wood. We have this nice young man who set up his own wine business, and he's a lovely chap. So we have him on every Tuesday, and he sets us right on what we should do when we go and order wine in a restaurant, that sort of thing.
He has his winery here.
Yes, he imports wines.
Imports.
Yes.
You don't have.
Does he have an actual shop?
No.
Okay.
You don't have wineries here. They.
Now you asked the right question. Because just last week, the vineyards in Sussex were given their own designation. So now Sussex wines means that it's a very high standard and brought up. And we do have a lot of vineyards here because the soil is very similar to that in France, and we do a nice sparkling wine. And in fact, the Queen uses Sussex wines to actually, when she entertains people from overseas, she uses our Sussex wines to entertain them. So yes, we're very proud of it.
So it has the royal seal of approval. Anything that's used by the royal family has a little crown on the label.
Yeah, we have that in Holland too.
Oh, you have the same thing. Oh yeah.
But you've got a royal
We have
family,
also
haven't
a
you?
king. We have a king.
Yes,
Nowadays.
indeed.
Yeah.
You're actually, you share with us you're a constitutional monarchy, aren't you?
We are.
Yes. Right. I actually do a little bit of lecturing on constitutional monarchy.
Mhm.
I don't tell any truths at all. I lie my way through it, but it's interesting.
Right now, our king and queen are in Austria to have
Vienna.
Vienna to visit them, and our youngest daughter, she's there with them
Oh,
because she's
wow.
producing.
Well, she's working with an orchestra or a choir,
Right.
Dutch choir, which is very
Famous.
famous.
right.
And she's producer for that choir, and she produced this trip because the king and the queen take this choir to present it as a kind of a gift to Austria, the singing.
Yeah. So tonight they have the performance,
Oh, terrific.
and it's about Van Gogh. Yeah.
Yeah, they made a
They made yeah. You can see it on YouTube.
Right.
if you like it.
Well, there you go.
It's very special.
Yeah.
so she'll be meeting the king
Just
and the
sing.
queen.
Oh, wow. Today.
Yeah, tonight.
So
Yeah,
tonight.
she
Yeah.
will be introduced to the king and the queen.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
How many hours ahead are you
one.
Just
from
one.
here? Just one.
Just one.
Yeah.
Okay. Just so you know, when Fergus comes on, the screen will be split in half, so you'll only see you once he comes on. Just so you
Right.
know. So unfortunately, you won't actually be in the actual picture because the camera.
Okay.
Oh,
wide
yes,
enough.
okay.
No problem.
No problem.
Sorry, I didn't follow that, but it doesn't matter. Now, I've actually been to 60 countries in the world.
60.
Yeah, I've been lucky as a journalist, and but the interesting thing is that I was in Moscow for a while.
Mhm.
In fact, I set up Russia Today television,
Oh, you did.
and then I was in Lugansk, which of course is where the Russians are battering the poor old Ukrainians.
Yeah.
So you know, I've got a little bit of a feel for the areas and so on.
But you've been a journalist all your life?
Yes,
How long have you been a
and I'm very old.
Television, newspapers?
No, always. Well, I did a little bit of newspapers, a little bit of magazine writing, but generally speaking, radio and television nearly all my life. Yeah, I worked for Reuters, I worked for BBC, I worked for CNBC and PBS in the States. So I've been around a little bit. Yeah.
Impressive.
I'm not sure that I was any good, but what the hell?
Well, we have three daughters, and the second, she just finished her master now in Brussels, journalistic, radio and television.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, there we are. We've got a
she
lot
wants
in
also
common.
be-
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's going to New York for 4 months.
Wonderful. We have each Friday. There's a lady called Melissa Conti who comes on and shares. We have a chat. But Melissa and I met in 1990, and she was the the New York anchor of an American coast-to-coast program called Morning Business Report, and I was the London anchor. And we stayed friends ever since 1990, and so she gets involved in our little adventures with local television and so on. So your daughter will be in good hands over there, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
Well, thank you very much for coming on,
Sure.
and I hope you enjoy. I love it when people do a spot thing. Is let's just try Lewis.
Yeah. We had an American and New Zealand couple come on 2-3 weeks ago
Yes,
now.
yeah.
And yeah, so people from all over come to this hotel because of the history. They came here because of the history. I think.
Yeah.
They came for the hotel because it was Thomas Paine was here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank you for coming on.
Sure.
Yes.
You're welcome.
What we do here it is a very different. In my younger days, there was a program called Pebble Mill at 1, which the BBC did, and it was born because the studios in Birmingham got this great big atrium, and the man who was in charge said, "There's always space. What we'll do is we'll have a lunchtime program." And they said, "Well, but people come in." And he said, "It doesn't matter. Let them wander in, and if we're interviewing a star, they can say hello and so on and so forth." So we've done the same thing. This is a totally free flow. We see people like you and say, "Please come in and chat to us."
And you do this every day?
5 days a week.
5 days a week.
Yeah.
From this.
From here. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
And you were always together?
I am an official employee now. This started as a college placement, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And then Keith liked me and hired me on. So I'm here Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to get a second job at Sainsbury's or something to help out and get a staff discount so I can help out with my mum for the shopping. So two jobs.
He's a good lad. He's a very hard worker.
Yeah.
And
you're still living with your mum?
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
In fact, I haven't met his mum, but one lady who works with us does her own show called Everybody's Got a Story. And she quite inadvertently chatted to Max's mother.
Oh, really?
And by the time she finished, said, will you please come and be interviewed? We want to put you on. But my mission, if you like, is I worry about the shrinkage of media. And I've worked in Kosovo, I've worked in Serbia, I've worked in Africa and so on. And I am very aware that if local media disappears, so there's a large element of democracy. So I fight very hard to keep it going. Not everybody shares my view, but nonetheless, doesn't matter.
One of our other co-hosts is very, very interesting. He's been in 20-something different wars as a journalist. Stuart Dolby. He started off in Vietnam. That's where he got.
Sorry about that. It's all right.
For the Financial Times.
You know, we like that stuff.
And 20-something different wars he's been in. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
How many wars have you been in?
I don't know. But whenever anybody wanted to send me anywhere, it's because there was a war.
What's your age, if I ask?
Sorry?
May I ask your age?
No, you can't.
Well, she just did.
I'm 82.
Wow.
Yeah.
82 years.
Yeah. But, that gives you another 30 or 40 years to do this yet.
But I agree with you on the importance of local journalism. It's very important.
Absolutely. In my view, now, because of the internet and so on, it's more important than national. Because now the tendency is just to look at stuff on the web, not even check it.
Yep.
And that's where fake news comes from.
Yeah.
Whereas we have to be very careful about what we're saying is accurate and true. Mind you, I let my mouth go loose sometimes, but what the hell?
Sure.
82.
Well, thank you very much indeed
You're
for coming on.
Finished?
We really appreciate it very much, and we do hope that you have a good time. We're here every morning. If you need any help and sort of where should we go or whatever, just stick your nose in and say oi.
It was nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice meeting you.
And good
Okay,
luck with
thank you. William and Miriam from the Netherlands, and they are staying in the White Hart Hotel, and they chose Lewis just as a lottery. They took a pin and went, right, that's where we're going to go. And we're delighted to see you here. And I hope that some other people will take that up. We'll actually send out pins for people to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
You're welcome. Good luck with the show.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Let me jump back around. Sorry. That was a very nice chat.
Yes, a lovely couple, and I'm glad that they were journalists. It makes things more interesting in some ways, because that's what we're about. Right? How's our picture this morning? Is it okay?
I'll be honest, not really.
Not really. Not a very good picture.
No, unfortunately not. Are we still live?
Yes, we are.
Why does it say it stopped?
Sorry.
Ended.
For some reason it ended. I don't know why.
But it's only
So
No, hang on a minute. Look, it says it's ended, but it's still going on here.
right. Well, I don't quite understand why.
I've not seen this glitch before ever. I don't think. Look. Look at the camera; it's still going.
Well, heavens to Betsy. Well, what we better do is
for a second. Let me try to figure this out.
yes. Okay.
Unfortunately, the picture hasn't been the best again. Sorry if we suddenly disappear. I am trying to figure out what is going on. I've never seen this before, so give me a moment. Oh, good.
It's all right.
Yeah, but it's ended. Oh, look, it's not showing.
Well, that's a pity. So we got some good stuff.
Oh, that's why. That's why. My bad. Sorry about that. I fixed the problem.
Okay.
Let me just go to the garden park. What's that say? Sorry.
This Grange Park, yeah.
Grange Park. We'll go to that for a moment.
Okay. Well,
sorry for those technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
But a quick hello to Terry, who is once again, she lives in Lewis, but she's a good connection to New York, and she arranges from time to time for us to talk to mayors in various parts, and also to some of the charity organizations for the mentally stressed. So she was watching this morning for a little while, and she said, well done to get the journalist from Holland. And also Gary Toynton, who is a good friend and who keeps us on our toes. So there we are.
Yeah, that was just completely random. That was very lucky.
It was indeed. What time is it?
It is
10:29. Well, we're doing okay, aren't we? I think we could do with perhaps a little video, but nonetheless, I think that it was very interesting to have the journalists on, and they were a very nice couple and very articulate. But it is interesting why people come to Lewis. Let's give it a try.
It's crazy how many people from abroad can speak our language.
Indeed,
English is the like. What's it called? There's a specific. It's like an anchor language, I think.
Well, I mean, it is the much as the French would like to think that our. That's not a bad picture. What are you cribbing about?
That's a terrible picture.
Yeah, it's jerking a little bit, but nonetheless, it's what were we talking about?
How many people can speak English?
Oh, right, yes. I mean, it is the business language of the world, and of course, when you think about it, is that millions and millions and millions of people. You take into account the United States, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and ourselves, and a few of our protectorates speak English or a form of English. So it is a huge country, language, and a huge number of people. But it is there is one other thing which you must take into account, and that is that people in European countries have got neighbours who speak a different language, so they have a natural propensity to learn more than one language. We are a little island. We don't have any neighbours who speak any different language, so we're bloody lazy. That's what we are. Dear.
Well, I mean, we don't particularly need to learn any other language because everyone knows ours.
Exactly,
Everyone
but
knows our language.
we actually should try to learn another language if we can, because it is nice to.
I should probably get started on learning to read and write English.
Max doesn't mind us telling you. Max is dyslexic, and he works very hard on making sure that his dyslexia does not interrupt his work or his play, for that matter. And he does a terrific job at it. So here's a man who. Here's trouble.
Uh-oh.
Here's trouble.
Trouble's in the middle now.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Morning.
Yes, you've just missed two people from the Netherlands. And what did your colleague here say? You would have been nice for you to have met Stuart, because the man was a journalist and was interested in the places that we've been. So your number one boost here is saying what a decent sort of bloke you are. Yeah. Are you going to sit down and join us?
Well, for a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, come on then. Pull up the chair again.
Are you still doing things?
Yeah, we're live still right now.
Oh yes, we are. We're
Did you send that
live for
email to
another
Fergus?
half an hour.
Did that email go out properly? You might want to tell us about the ghost. Yeah, tell us about the ghost. What's wrong? What's about this ghost?
Well, I don't know a great deal about the ghost, but I was talking to Sally, who is one of the owners of the hotel, the other day, and she said that there's a lady, I think, who sits on the landing. It's neither a docile ghost or an aggressive ghost. It's just here.
It's just a nice ghost, yeah.
Yeah. But nonetheless, ghosts frighten people.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Oh, of course.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
What would life be without them?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, it's the living that worry me.
Well, you're the ghost of Christmas past, very, very past.
Yes. Actually, you talk about that. That really is one of my very favourite books. A Christmas Carol, and I think that there are about half a dozen films made with various stars, and each one is very good. I think.
But Michael Caine was very good.
What?
Michael Caine did one, didn't he?
Oh, did he? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my favourite is Alistair Sims.
Oh yes, of course.
It is,
He was made
yeah.
for the part.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it's a good story, and. Actually, the one thing I mentioned to our friends is about Brighton. But did you know that this area was a favourite with the author of
Charles Dickens.
A Christmas Carol?
Charles Dickens.
Yes.
He was born in Brighton.
Was he born in Brighton?
He
I
was
didn't
born
know
in
he was born in Brighton, but I know that he spent a lot of time here.
Mm.
And in fact, they found a sort of a letter type manuscript in one of the houses in Telscombe. In a writing bureau. And the other thing I know about him was when they blew up Seaford Head to try and divert the ooze, 15,000 people turned up to see this blowing up of Seaford Head, and he was amongst them.
15,000 people.
Yeah.
What year would that have been? That would have been like
1800s.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that
15,000 people.
many went out through New Haven, didn't
Yes. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the interesting things about we forget there was no television, no radio, and so on. I mean, is the last lady to be hanged outside Lewes Jail it had 4,000 people turn up to watch her being hanged.
Well, they all right there.
When was that? That was not that long.
1850 some odd. Yeah,
That wasn't the last.
Think about Seaford.
last one here.
Oh, the last one
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Think about Seaford. It's going to be a new Brighton. It was going to be a massive resort like Brighton was. But of course, it didn't happen because, various reasons, particularly, I think the river sort of being diverted and so on.
Is there any update on energy and so on that we should know about, Stuart?
Yes, I just had a flaming row with my colleague about. He said, "Why? What have you got against fat cats?" I said, "Well, they're fat for starters, and secondly, they earn." Did you read the Sunday Times? I said to Julian. He said, "Yes, I did." I said, "You saw the interview with Ofgem boss Jonathan Bradley?" Yes. I said, "Do you know how much he earns? £3,100, £310,000. I would say that was a fat cat salary by any standard."
I would too.
And if you actually go to the other article there about the company bulb that had gone past, the government rescued that to the tune of 2.7 million quid, and that was all passed on to their people who subscribed to them. 1.5 million people were £60 a head worse off. So the whole thing is a story that the whole narrative, which I've been going on now for months and years, is that the government has allowed these oligopolistic cartels to set up, and they charge anything as close to the energy cap as they can. Meanwhile, they give themselves enormous salaries and send enough money to the shareholders.
Okay,
So
sorry.
it's wicked.
Sorry for interrupting you. Terry has an interesting comment. Who would you like to meet as a ghost?
As it goes.
Yeah.
Yes, this is one of our viewers. Well, actually, it's Terry who works with us from time to time, and she's saying she's been listening to us talking about the ghost, and she said, "What's the question? Which ghost would you like to meet?"
Bridget Bardo.
Who?
Bridget Bardo.
yes, late at night.
It's possible, yeah.
Terry, don't allow him to put you off by his badinage. He's harmless, actually.
Who would you like to meet as a ghost? Do you know?
Who would I don't know. I think I would like a standard ghost, sort of a ghost from Anne of Cleves' house.
Nice and tidy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there is said to be a monk from the priory. Now, the priory is probably my most favourite historical site of any in the world. When we first started this television thing about 6 or 7 years ago, because it's been through several metamorphoses, if that's the right word, I used to go down to the priory at 5 in the morning, and I used to say I talked to the rabbits, of which there are lots, but also I was privileged to talk to the monks because they appear.
This is very interesting. It's very, very interesting because although a lot of the buildings are fallen down, they've got these wonderful boards illustrating things.
Yes.
And one board is entirely devoted to the ablution system
Yes.
for monks, There's a little stream going over, sit over a little stream and wash their outgoings down into the rivers.
Well, because the strange thing is that one of the best preserved of the buildings is the ablutions, the lavatory block.
They're predecessors of Southern Water, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Pumping shit in the river.
We're not being very helpful to you, Terry. But the other question she asked is, tell us about horse racing in Lewes. Well, I don't think we've got time this morning, but we do have a couple of people that are very keen on horse racing. And we will actually, Terry, you've given us a good idea. We'll have somebody in on horse racing because Lewes Racecourse, it is said, officially, I think it started in 1720 or something, but it's said that in fact it probably was about 1700 because Queen Anne was a great race goer and she came here on several occasions prior to its official start. And there was a racecourse here until 1965, I think it was. This was a racing town. But if I can just, one thing, Terry, if you get a copy of the book, Brighton Rock, bye. In the book, there is a scene in which there is a battle between some of the gangs from London who terrorise the racecourses, and that
That's made famous by Graham Greene.
It was indeed, but actually that battle never took place. It took place on Lewes Racecourse, and in fact, from the descriptions, it sounds a bit like a Keystone Cops, because there are only about 3 coppers there, but the gangs taught themselves into thinking there were a lot.
Graham Greene's article, the Brighton Rock.
Yes, that's right.
They said that the racing gangs went up to sort out the punters up on the racecourse.
Yes.
Give us your money, otherwise we'll slash your throat. That kind of stuff.
Well, in reality, when these people were brought to trial in Lewes Crown Court, and I'm not sure whether it's this building, but I think it would be if it was the 1930s, which it was, that they brought all the gangs down from London to stand outside and yell and scream and abuse the judges and the jurors and so on and so forth, and that they were so brave in the face of this is that they paid no attention, and they actually sent these people away for a long time.
I mean, were you in this front bar recording all the goings on? When back in the day when all the murder scenes were going on, all the press were in this waiting for people to come out, but they got so pissed they couldn't recognise me. And it's not, it has a long history.
When was that?
1932.
Yes. Part of the reason there is no, there is still a fair chunk of the race course left up there. But the reason that it stopped, it lost its license, is because there was no water or no natural facilities for large groups of people. That's why they stopped racing there. But apparently on race days, this town was absolutely bunged. And this hotel was, in fact, I think it was called the Farmer's Bar there.
But also, the course was very, very up and down. It wasn't a flat course.
No.
So, you had a real cost of a horse driving a horse over the bloody cliff and landing on Lewes prison.
But I saw that Lester Piggott
It seems like a terrible design for a race course, for a horse race course.
And there's all these holes, the horses were falling over and breaking their legs.
Yeah. But actually, apparently, the jockeys loved it. It was a real challenge. And Lester Piggott, Gordon Richards, they all drove here. And I'm not absolutely sure, but we have in our documentary, The Bloody Past of a Tiny Town, we actually have got pictures of the old race course. And I would think, from the look of it, that one of the clips has Gordon Richards in it. But actually, we are going to start playing part of that as part of our morning diet, the documentary, and because we've got some good documentaries, and you've got some stuff too, haven't you?
Me?
Yeah.
Well,
I thought you got some video.
Made any?
Yeah.
Yeah, but one of that with Vietnam was a big film.
That could be interesting.
Right. So one last thing from you, Stuart, is we are so full of crises at the moment, and of course the papers are full of the fact that there was a rocket landed in the market and killed all sorts of people. So that's been taking everybody's eye off the energy ball. But where do we stand with energy at the moment? Is there any glimmer of light? Are things going to get worse?
No.
Or
Well, the latest development was this: about 3 weeks ago, Rishi Sunak said that we're going to give £650 to all the homeless, all the poor homes on pension credit, etc., etc. Okay, and also we're going to give £400 to every household in the country, which cost them, I think, the whole thing cost about 5 billion or something. And then Before you know it, after Rishi Sunak announced these measures, the boss of Ofgem was summoned to a select committee in Parliament, and he said that the energy cap's going to go up by 800 quid. That means it would be 3,000 quid, and that is fuel poverty, absolute fuel poverty. Meanwhile, these cartels, it was once big six, and that's now big five companies, they are paying themselves huge salaries and passing the rest of the money to the shareholders,
Yeah.
to the disadvantage of all of us who are paying them this bills. It's really too bad that it's a disgrace, actually, that the governments have never managed to manage a certain policy for energy. It's crazy. I mean, these guys are putting up the thing while people are going to sit on buses, on trains, because they're freezing to death.
Yes, it is interesting, but it is almost like the Depression, isn't it? Where people slept in all sorts of odd places.
Well, I think you are going to get what you got in 1970. Well, it's the same as, remember in 2008 with the financial crisis. Who got off scot-free? The bankers. They didn't lose their bloody £250,000 bloody salaries. And this crisis will, I think, lead to stagflation. Stagflation means the economy doesn't grow and inflation goes through the roof. And that's what's happening now with food prices, and particularly with energy.
Yeah.
Energy, but food prices everywhere, petrol at the pumps and so on and so forth. So the government has failed us, basically, big time.
So the news in energy is doom and gloom for everyone.
Well, no, all it's, I don't think it's the mood, it's a mood of concern and worry. You know, the way Martin Lewis, the real expert, said, you know, those people who don't die of starvation are going to freeze to death because they can't heat their homes.
Which you preferred? You want to freeze to death or die of starvation?
Oh, it'll have to be twice for me because I've only got 9 lives, you see.
We have another comment from Terry. Is the swimming pool, the White Hart, open?
Is what, sorry?
Is the White
yes.
Hart?
The answer is
open?
yes.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
I haven't been in that yet. I'm going to go to that.
In fact, Terry, Max is developing a program, a health program, which will come out of the little health centre that they've got in the White Hart. And actually, the centre of the health spa here is a lovely swimming pool. And as we speak, it's there for you to plunge into if you wish. Yeah.
It's the oldest open-air swimming pool in the entire country.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Where's that?
The Pell's Pool.
Oh, Pell's, Pell's. We were getting...
Also, it's also the coldest.
Yes.
Mind you, it's got a little bit better recently because they filled in the cracks at the bottom of the pool. Therefore, it's gone up by 1.5 degrees. Still very cold though.
Well, what I find strange is that we whoops.
Sorry, ignore that. But don't read those.
Oh, okay. The thing that I find strange is that normally water heats up quite quickly, but for some reason the sun doesn't seem to be strong enough to heat it up the way that it used to. Mind you, I've never been a great fan of outdoor swimming pools. To me, getting in and freezing your ass off is.
Well, I swim in the sea a lot. I quite like that. Every time let me mute because my friends are messaging me.
All right, let's mute that. Yeah. Right now, you two are on deck tomorrow, and Stuart, you've got a very interesting interview tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, his name is Vaughan Smith, who started the Frontline Club in Paddington. It's a club for foreign correspondents, like myself initially. But he's turned it into something very, very different. But what happened was, Vaughan was an aristocrat, really. Doesn't like to be called that. It's like 900 acres in Norwich, in Norfolk. He then became a soldier, and he became a soldier, and then a cameraman. But all the cameramen were getting killed off, particularly in the Balkan Wars, which was very dangerous. And he decided that he would get this club, and it's in Paddington in Bread Street, as a tribute to these cameramen. And it's called the Front Line Club. As it so happens, I was born opposite the Front Line Club in Bread Street. And it was a real red light district. But now he's got this club up and running because not only is it the old cameramen, he's got the whole previous lot, like us, myself, and Woolacott and Don McCulley and all the rest of the people who did Vietnam. Of course, he didn't do Vietnam. And he does things, that club has terrific programs going on, really, celebrities, Gordon Brown comes to talk. And also they do amazing training, and they have sent people to Ukraine at the moment. He has sent people to Ukraine at the moment. And all the rest of it. So we shall ask him about that, and just go to his career.
So you've got the boss of this club to talk to you tomorrow on Mirador Television.
That's it.
That's very good, very good. Yeah. Well,
he's very keen to do it. So because he's involved in funds, trying to generate some funds at the moment. And I said, well, look, let's go out to New York. Let's go out to a lot of people. And he said, well, it's absolutely perfect. That's exactly what I want. Kind of publicity for it.
Yeah.
So it should be a good interview. It's an interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very good. Incidentally, I did say to you, I can't give you the specifics, but the stats show that we're growing very, very nicely. I've got one or two ideas, and not only that, but somebody who is a promotional expert I met on, it was last Friday, and he said he's going to drop by and take a look at us and see if he can help. So that's another thing. Bit by bit, we are becoming a community television.
Well, not only are our
remaining with our international aspects.
Not only are our stats growing, but our live comments are too. We have another one from Terry. Tell us about Lewis Courts. It's a little vague, sorry, but it is. Lewis Courts, what about them?
Well, it is our courts. You're talking about
You can see it right.
Our courts are quite interesting because we had the assizes from a very, very early time. Almost from the time of the Conqueror. And they kept on switching backwards and forwards between Chichester and here, as indeed the Mint did. But eventually, Lewis became the assizes, which is now the Crown Court. And we've had many, many famous cases here, many famous cases. Actually, the lady who was hanged in 1850 or whereabouts is, I always call her the onion pie murder, because she fell in love with her lodger, and so she was so enamored of him, she wanted to get rid of her husband. And on Christmas Day, she gave him his favorite onion pie, which she'd laced with arsenic. And at first, they thought that she got away with it, but then they caught her, and she was tried, and she was found guilty, and she was hanged outside Lewis prison. What I found fascinating about the courts here is they've always brought huge crowds to the various trials that we've had. Actually, the prison also is quite interesting. Eamon de Valera, the first president of the Republic of Ireland, was held there. Mick Jagger was held there.
Mick Jagger and Keith Richards got done there, didn't they?
Yes, he did. And the Cray twins were held there.
Well, Reggie was there for years.
Yes, he was.
Ray, who tunes down to the Gardener's Arms, he said that,
Oh, yes.
all the things they used to say about Ronnie Cray is like they were devoted to their mum, So after they beat people up or extorted them, they put a nice suit on and had tea with their mum. And it was absolutely, and of course, Ronnie Cray was, and she always used to say, they're a bit wild. I know they're a bit wild, but the army own, and you've got to look after your own, haven't you? So anyway, when they got to jail, Ronnie Payne was absolutely psychotic, and he was put to jail on Newport in the Isle of Wight. And when he was asked by someone, an interviewer. Do you have any conscience about what you've done? Have you got anything? What is the real problem for you now that it's done? She said, well, the real problem I've got is that she's on the Isle of Bloody White, and it's a long passage to go and see her.
When was the last hanging here? It was the acid bath murder.
Yes.
What year was that?
It's about 48, I think.
Was it?
Yes. It was in the 40s, and it was after the war. But the acid bath murderer was very interesting because he honestly thought that he wasn't going to be caught.
That's the one, yeah.
But I am told by some locals that that he used to do the crossword. This has nothing to do with me. Very, very calm and so on. But some of the boys from the local school, if they got off, would go over and go up into the gallery, and they used to take their bootlaces and turn them into a noose and dangle them over in front of him.
What was his name? Booth. His name was
It was
Booth.
Christie, wasn't it?
Okay.
Wasn't it John Reginald Christie?
John
Christie,
Reginald.
Christie.
John.
Christie, yeah.
I can't say his name.
Very good film with Richard Attenborough, wasn't it?
Yes.
He lived in Notting Hill.
That wasn't the acid bath murderer. That was
Jack the Ripper.
He knocked off all sorts of prostitutes,
Yeah.
and Evans, his next door neighbour,
Totally innocent.
was hung from.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Let's see. I think it's.
I have it here.
Yeah.
He was born in 1909.
Oh, Haig, John George Haig.
And
That's
he was
it. Haig,
Yes, that's
Haig,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
he was hung in 1949. So you were in. So
But don't think about the other deaths in this place. What
I'm
about-
assuming you don't remember. that.
No, I don't. But I do remember vaguely how quickly the jury took 12 minutes to convict him, which is unheard of. They must have gone in and said guilty, guilty. Back out. Yes, but no.
Wait,
I
so do
think
you remember that?
Sorry?
Do you vaguely remember?
I vaguely remember. There was Christie, Bentley. Do you remember the Bentley?
Because but there was a younger guy called Chris something or other. He's only 16.
Yes, that's
And he
right.
might still be alive to this day
Absolutely.
because they couldn't hang him. But there was a chase on the roof of the thingy bob, and there's Bentley and this other guy, Chris. What was his Chris? Chris something or other. He was only 16, and he heard Chris say, "Let them have it, Roy.
Yeah.
Let them have it. Let them have it." And we never know whether "let him have it" means have a go at them.
Try to shoot the way out,
So he would be
or
90
give him up the
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be 90 years old.
But I just saw a very good friend of mine who was 95 giving a show down the bottom there.
Oh, really?
But listen, doing the speakers convention.
Oh, wow.
I should have been interviewed in there. But I am going to phone up his daughter because she was there and see if she'll come and speak to us.
Yes.
So it's no hardship. If you just
There are a lot of very interesting things that have taken place here, and the Crown Court is one of them. When I was doing some articles for Town and County magazine, I did a bit of research on both the prison and the courts, and certainly we've had our fair share of famous people.
what about the guy that dinosaurs? Dinosaurs.
Yes,
There's a plaque up the road there.
yes, that's right.
He's a doctor, wasn't
Yes. I forget what his name is, but there's a plaque up on
he?
the wall. Yeah.
And then there's an accident about the burning of the mitres and the stanley. Right.
Yeah. Oh,
We told you about the bonfire here, right?
Yeah.
But in fact, bonfire was actually started with the burning of the martyrs.
yes.
And the martyrs were all Christians or Protestants.
Oh, yes.
And what happened, so they were exterminated, weren't they?
Yes.
The Christian, it was a Bloody Mary, you see. Once the old King VIII died, right? And after, I think it wasn't Anne Boleyn was then beheaded, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
And then there was the bloody Queen Mary, her sister, Anne, but what's her sister?
She took over from Henry VIII anyway. Bloody Mary. Yeah. I'm the first woman that we had as a ruler.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, the first queen that we had. Lots of stuff which we can go into, Terry. Thank you for sparking our our thoughts about. We have had a very interesting criminal element in Lewes over the years, and there are lots of good stories.
Well, the last woman was hung not too far from here. She was the last person to ever be hung in this country.
Is that Ruth Ellis?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think
1958.
so. Yeah, she was hung in Horsham.
Yeah.
In the same place that I was registered to be born. It was where they did hanging, and then it was a courthouse. Where they did all the hangings, it's now a restaurant in Horsham.
Oh, charming, yeah.
So if you want to go get some pizza in a place where hundreds of people have been murdered, you can go there in Horsham.
Well, we've had a very busy morning, chaps. It's been a good show. We've had two very interesting people in from the Netherlands who literally stuck a pin in a map and came up with Lewes. And here they are taking a look at it. We've had some interesting comments from some of our colleagues and friends. We've had the old man here come in and stir a few points for us to talk about.
Well, thank you, older man. Much older man. I'm very pleased to be here. Anyway, look, Max, can you nip out there and get Keith his wheelchair?
Yes. Hey, listen, you chaps. I'm going to start a fund. I want a motorized wheelchair.
You want a mobility scooter?
Yeah. I want to zip around terrorizing people in Lewes.
Yeah,
Get one of those ones. I've seen them be done on YouTube. Get one of the ones with motorbike engines on them.
Yeah.
I've seen ones where people have built them with motorbike engines, and they can go like 50 miles an hour.
Someone can go 80 miles an hour.
Oh my god, terrifying.
Okay, well, we're going to say goodbye. You're in charge of that, Max, so you can sign us out. Thank you very much for being with us. And I hope that you found some of the people and some of the things we talked about this morning interesting, and a lot of them that you didn't know. This is Mirador Television, broadcasting out of the White Hart Hotel, courtesy, I may say, of Cliff and Sally Ayres. But also, when you come in, there are two other ladies. There is Jane and Shannon, and they are lovely ladies. They make you feel welcome. They've got beautiful smiles. They zip around, and from signing you in, they get you drinks and all sorts of things. Really, it is a pleasure coming into this hotel first thing in the morning, I can assure you. So please do. But when you come in, don't hesitate to come and see us, because one of our colleagues does a series of programs called Everyone's Got a Story. You've got a story. And we're quite happy for you to come barging in here and sit down, no matter what else we're doing, and to tell us what your story is. Or that you've got an event or whatever. We're here. We're here from 8:30 until 11, sometimes 11:30 if necessary, on weekday mornings. If we have to come in on a weekend, we will. For instance, I think that the raft race takes place on a Sunday, so we will. But we're not here normally on a Sunday, but we are Monday to Friday between those hours, and occasionally extra hours as well if interesting things are going on.
Unless it's a bank holiday, but that's not very often.
No, we don't do bank holidays. Don't do bank holidays either. Yeah, the trouble is the ice cream van has all moved out to different places in our bank holidays. Okay, toodle pip, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. I actually won't. I lurk in the background on a Wednesday because these two daring chaps, the delightful and lovely Stuart Dolby, backed up by the young and daring Max Hurd, and they're going to look after you tomorrow while I sit in the bar out there and have an early morning drink. Till tomorrow, take care. Toodle pip.
Thank you.
One
Goodbye.
minute.